Because I mean, between the three of us, we've probably used, I don't know, probably like 10 different data collection softwares in our histories. And I can tell you, like, for certain, in using High Erasmus, it's never a question of if I can do it. It's who has to show me how to do it from the team. Because A, you guys are exponentially reachable. I can send an email and be on a call within like a day, right? And secondly, it's not just focused on like what I'm doing with my prospective client. I can use this with staff. I can use this with parents. I use this with supervision students. Like you guys took a much needed overtake of the like system and said, you guys can do this with everybody. And for those who are tuning in, how is High Erasmus building tools kind of right now that allow BCBAs to spend way less time dealing with, graphs trying to upload and look pretty and check the right box, and giving them more time, like you mentioned, to focus on actual behavior management and intervention and true parent success and independence?
Yeah, I think it starts with really a fundamental knowledge of what are the pain points that people are experiencing? What are the real pain points? What are the real time suckers? And it's not always, the most obvious ones, right? So it's really trying to get down to the core of like what's the real problem that people face? What's the real blocker? And trying to use the technology to really cleverly get at those pain points. Do you know what I mean? And alleviate that pain, especially for the menial administrative type stuff. We shouldn't have BCBAs having to spend a whole lot of time on settings and copy pasting and formatting
Hmm.
and stuff like that, So trying to remove those, piece by piece and making everything seamless, um, I think is part of it. Sean and I presented a panel at Calaba with some other really wonderful individuals, and Angie Broff said she's CEO out in Hawaii. Yeah, and she's amazing, and she said to me, and it's, like, stuck with me ever since, she's like, "There's value in the hard work. There's value in doing the hard work," and I think about that all the time. So the technology, I'm not trying to replace the hard work that's worth doing, the clinical decisions that should be made by the clinician, but what I'm trying to do is give them the most space and time to focus on the hard work and giving them the best possible sources of information, you know? Now we've got, AI agents and, all these different, incredible things that we can do. So how can we surface some of this information quicker to, require a little less digging, but not making the decisions for them, but giving them access to the information in a quicker, um, way, and then allowing them to, like, update everything in real time. You know, I and the treatment reports are, I think, a real hot topic in ABA technology, and everyone wants AI, and how can we use AI to reduce treatment planning time? Of course, because it's a, large time suck, but I think we need to really think about things in a new way. I think traditionally, you would have a big Word document, that was your behavior plan that you'd have to maintain. And then you have a data sheet. That's another document that you have to maintain. And then maybe you have some kind of parent log. You'd have all these separate, disconnected places where you're doing things. And so then they don't talk to each other, and they become stagnant. And who has access to what? And that can create a lot of confusion. And do people have access to the most recent plan? Or does anyone read the treatment plan after it gets approved by the funding source? And so it's really trying to think about, that was the old way of doing things. How can we use technology now to bring connection, to make sure that everyone has up to date knowledge, up to date information, everyone's on the same page, and reduce like the burden of having to maintain all these different areas, different documents, and stuff like that.